gonna pass the torch to Rob today to do because
boy,
not since honestly it felt like even lower than a high school play. It's basically like a shower curtain, and then me standing in front of it going hello. At least he could have said hello. I'm James Gunn. It was just like here. I'm in front of a red sheet. Let us begin.
No, he did say, "Hey, it's James Gunn."
I know. It would be funny if he says, "Hello, I'm James Gunn." Like with like do a little bit of pomp and circumstance. Anyways,
maybe like the Twilight Zone. You're entering a world of DC Universe.
Anything. Like honestly, anything would have made that look more than it was worth $10. Like DC, like Warner Brothers really has no money. Like they are really broke. If they put them on a soundstage, put them anywhere. Like I think maybe it was his basement. Then it was the theater in his basement. They just like
it was
David out there.
He's holding. If he did it like while walking to work or something, and all you hear is the wind blowing into his phone. It's like whoosh, and we're gonna.
It was a proof of life video.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dupe. With me is the owner and proprietor of Heroes World. That'd be Mr. John Ho.
Howdy, folks.
And our Prince of Mischief, Mr. Rob Goudet.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
This is new for us. We're back on Thursday to discuss the doings of James Gunn's press/conversation/ tweet. I'm in my face. Talking about the new slate of DC films.
It was a reel. It was basically he dropped a reel.
Not even because a reel. You already know how I feel. A reel would have had nice clipped pictures. That honestly, like he just found stuff on the internet and just threw it on the screen. Like it wasn't cropped, it wasn't fixed. The lines were all off. I'm like, you had 12 hours to fix this, and you basically went Google search, pulled picture, and threw it onto the screen. No disrespect, John, to what you do when you put the pictures, but like I expect you to at least remove the borders of the pictures.
No,
just don't throw the pictures up.
Okay. Wait a second. When Kevin Feige walks out on stage at Hall H at San Diego Comic-Con, when he announces Phase 7, he doesn't have any fancy pictures or this and that. He talks about it, and then he throws up a logo for whatever it is that they're doing on a timeline. It's the same idea.
No, but he doesn't throw a picture of the comic book, the picture of the comic book he's referencing, and then the fact that it's not cropped or fixed correctly.
Right.
It's like,
what if he did shadow puppets?
Anyways, all right, we're going to go through the whole slate. I was just saying, as a director, you're known for positioning, you're known for pacing. It's like this guy didn't have any director or have any instincts to how to do a presentation. It was just like already, I just sat there going, what is happening? Why is he, the look of it, him in front of this red curtain? And then when the pictures thing popping up, I'm like, oh man, all right. So he came out, and Rob, I'm going to start us off talking about the stuff because I don't even begin. So, boy. Okay, so he comes out and he starts off with talking about, I think it was the first object was Creature Commandos or whatever.
It was Chapter 1. They're calling it DC Universe Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters. We have a nice little timeline put up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. That's courtesy of comicbook.com. Because yesterday being what's today? Today's Tuesday. On Monday, they invited a whole bunch of people from the press to go to the Warner Brothers lot. We talked about this in the Sidekick show. They were unveiling their slate of Phase 1 or Chapter 1, and what we got today. They have confirmed it's only part of Chapter 1. They're just letting us know this is the first wave of Chapter 1 that's coming. But yeah, the first thing they introduced was an animated series called Creature Commandos, which obviously the Weasel is there. You can see, I think that's Frankenstein.
Yep, that is. It is the monsters in, get this, World War II fighting Nazis.
Right. Okay. And maybe Abe Sapiens girlfriend who's come over from the Hellboy universe. Okay, so I was like, as your first announcement, I was like, wait, what? This is how you're kicking off your chapter 1? But I think the most interesting aspect of what he commented on the back of this creature commandos is that the actors that are hired to do the voices for this project or any other project will be the same ones doing it for the TV, for movies, for video games, and animated, which I thought was like the synchronicity about that. I thought was really cool. I like that. I like that you're going to have the same person portraying that character across different mediums. And then I think
he's going to try because that like not every actor they're going to pay the fees for these things. Like it's not cheap. And if they get a bigger name actor, he may say, "I'm not doing it," and they're like, "You know what? That's fine. We don't need you to do the voice of the cartoon show." And
you can give me Disney money? No, we're not giving you Disney money. All right, I'm not doing the voiceover. Then.
Well, what they'll do is they'll film a bunch of scenes with dialogue for the animated and just
it makes me. I get that concept is the platonic ideal, but the problem is it's like some higher term actors will not adhere to that. So then there's this part of this DCU is finding the right people. So does that mean the people he's going to get are maybe up and coming stars and not true stars? Because the real like Robert Downey Jr. is not doing that stuff anymore. Chris Hemsworth even kind of does it, but he doesn't want to do video games either. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. Whatever. It's fine. I'm Chris Hemsworth. But like, even they couldn't get Scarlett Johansson to do the voice of on the What If show.
What If, yeah.
It was Lake Bell.
A really good imitator though, right?
Yeah. They had Lake Bell. But like, at the end of the day, it's like, does it crush? But then does it hurt? No. But then the exception also to the rule is that Harley Quinn show. There's no way that they're going to have her, the voice of
Kaylee
to be Harley Quinn. So then it's like already you're slogging and like, oh well, yes, but no.
It already doesn't line up. But
yeah,
it's a nice thought. It's a nice thought.
I'm just saying this is the hurdles that could transpire in this because I like that Harley Quinn show, and I'm just saying like if I lose it because the voice isn't. But again, I guess right now with the crashing of a certain career right now of actress in Barbie, maybe you can get her in the voice of cartoon shows because not like.
But they've already said that Harley Quinn will go on for about another 1 to 2 more seasons. So like we have to understand this is not like the button's not being pressed now, and everything that's coming out that's already in development is adhering to these new rules. Like it's an 8 to 10 year plan. So like they're laying the expectation, the foundation of what is to come. And that's why like in the next announcement they made for a TV show property was Waller, which is we knew he was working on this, starring Viola Davis reprising her role as Amanda Waller. And it will contain a number of Peacemaker.
I wonder who they're going to bring over
from the show
into that show.
Steve Agee, for sure.
For sure, him, yes.
Right. So we'll see. Steve doesn't really care about this. So last night on the Sidekick show, when John and I were talking about this announcement, we were like, what is it we want to see? And I was like, and Stu, you know this, the DC timeline in comic books is all over the place, right? It's Superman,
timey-wimey,
and it's timey-wimey. That's what I said last night. It's all over the place. So who knows? Like JSA predates Superman. We don't know. Anyways, I said I think what you got to do is you got to come out with your Superman movie. We knew Gunn was writing it, and sure enough, he announced that this will be the first movie. You got those 2 TV shows we mentioned, but the first movie kicking off the DCU will be Superman Legacy, which drops, I want to say July 11th, 2025.
Yeah. I got another graphic from Heroes Reforged here.
Okay.
Which has Superman Legacy as July 11th, 2025.
I think it's great when you screenshotted it, you even kept in the Twitter stuff on the right side. That's way to edit it down, James.
Right there. Here's what Reforged right here.
So Superman Legacy in theaters. Stu, you don't.
Honestly,
It's a non.
let's wait. Let's see who they cast as Superman. I'm just waiting to find out because Superman. I'm there's so much else when it comes to aligning, and we'll talk about the Batman stuff. We'll align to Trinity, and so much is dependent on the age of which these characters are being cast upon. So I will wait with bated breath and see. I know he likes a lot of Tom King stuff, James Gunn, which is again leads into Supergirl stuff. But I think that it's going to be very used as similar type of stuff in Superman. So he's writing it. It's fine. Let's see if hopefully someone else directs it, because how is he going to direct and oversee all of this? I just don't know how one human can do all these things. Even Kevin Feige, his hand is veering off the road because he has too much on his plate. So let's see what happens.
What did you think of the fact that they used Superman All-Star cover as their? Do you take anything from that, or do you?
No, I just think that I think James Gunn and like that. Oh, this is a good aesthetic. Let's put it there, and it looks so different. It's chosen because it's different than the Snyderverse.
Yeah,
the darkness of it, but again, let's wait and see. And the Waller stuff too, because it's supposed to take place in between season 1 and season 2. I just felt that at the end of the day, to jump back for that one, I think Superman is nice. He's writing it. I really wish that he would have done a real cool, lean sweep. I felt like this is more of the same. No, this is not a hands washing DC. It's like, no, I'm gonna keep my stuff around because I'm James Gunn. And
the Waller surprised me. The Waller's on there.
Yeah, like I'm gonna keep that stuff around, the James Gunn stuff. I'm like, well, that ties to this other universe. So what do you like? It's so weird as to the decisions of what he's trying to do. But let's continue on the process, because I feel like the way
I like seeing Superman as the centerpiece for this. But chapter 1, Rob. I'm down with that.
Because it's the rumors and everything sounds like Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller are going to be around. Like they're going to reprise after all this stuff. So even that is like, oh, well, Gal Gadot's gone, Ben Affleck's gone, Henry Cavill's gone. But no, the other two boys of James Gunn are around too, because the two that showed up in Peacemaker, of course, they have to be there because they were in Peacemaker. I just sat there scratching my head going, oh, I see how this is going. So, I know the Superman movie is supposed to lead in, because I think the picture also was like Superman and the Elite. So I guess it leads into our next property, which some people online were a little bit upset upon, is the Authority, the next movie that they want to do. This is a very beloved property by some people. And putting all of it into one movie of all these different characters, the intricacy of Apollo and Nighthawk. I don't know how you can do it in one movie, and then you're gonna have them all fight Superman in the next one. So it's like an introduction movie, and then they're all gonna fight Superman. I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Well, yeah. Okay, so nobody really knows the Authority. Like the comic geeks do. But it's not a general property. But just like I remember sitting at my office and they announced Guardians of the Galaxy was a movie. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, yeah, they've jumped the shark. They're idiots. I remember reading that damn comic book when I was camping as a kid. These guys are dumb. And look what he did with Guardians. He took an obscure property.
But I don't disagree with you, Guardians, but Authority has a very strong LGBTQ plus story that goes through that thread. It's one of the relationships that in comics wasn't touched upon, and there are people that are ride or die with that. So if you don't, and I think we saw it kind of done well in some shows and done not so well in other ones. So my only concern is that you're going to shoehorn that into a movie. Let's just see what happens.
I think it's their answer to The Boys. The Boys did really well, so it's like we're gonna take these darker, serious heroes and do a rated R movie with them. and have that at the end of this DCU. I don't know. I'm interested. They haven't done anything with Authority since forever. They've tried multiple times to integrate it. It hasn't quite worked. So Rob's right. They're going to be able to play with something semi-obscure here and maybe bring it like we know. Yeah, like Stu's right. Us comic geeks know who the Authority is. I don't think anybody else does. So yeah, so they got some wiggle room.
Yep, we'll see. The news that I was happy about, and Rob, I'm sorry, you should continue talking about it. But yes, the only news I was happy about, yes, but continue on with the.
Oh, I don't remember what exactly was next. It must be your exciting Booster Gold live action series as created by Dan Jurgens. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the biggest, I would imagine, exciting news for you, Stu.
It is
no, that it's not a movie, that it's a series. How do you feel about
It's finally happening, Stu.
Wait, it's a series or a movie? Was it?
It's a movie. It's a live action series.
It's a live action series, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I was hoping for a movie. I'll take the TV show. He's my favorite comic book character. I'll say it out loud. Even though I'm a super big Marvel fan, I love Booster Gold. He's my boy. And Skeets. I love the internet was like, it's got to be Chris Pratt, right? It's Chris Pratt. It's Chris Pratt. And then I'm just like, yeah, it's Super Mario as Booster Gold. So I think it works very well once Chris Pratt.
It's Seth Rogen as Skeets.
Honestly, I take that too. Seth Rogen Seth Rogen and Chris Pratt as Booster Gold. I'll take it because they ain't gonna get Ryan Reynolds. So,
Nathan Fillion too old for a Booster Gold.
I was gonna say Nathan Fillion would be fun.
I think the relationship basically is: are you friends with James Gunn? Yes or no. If you are, you have a job. I think that's the answer to this all. But I think
I don't know. But Batista
Nathan Fillion is unavailable because of his TV show The Rookie. So yeah, he's not available.
Oh, it's those really intense cameos in The Recruit. I think is really what's keeping him busy.
The green screen 5-minute cameo. Yeah, that's keeping him up. That's
where James Gunn was on the same set, and that's how he recorded his announcement. Yeah, I'm pretty excited for a Booster Gold. I mean, hey, why the hell not, right? Let's get something different. The next one, it caught me off guard. And we should say that Gunn has come out. There's a lot of things that were said after the press conference or whatever, this announcement, so we can discuss that. But one of those things was they're committed to no more than 2 movies a year, and I think 2 shows a year, which I think is a very smart. They're being very methodical in their rollout of things, and also knowing that you're competing with Marvel, so you don't want to oversaturate the market, right? But the next one that they announced was Batman. Now, this is not going to be the Robert Pattinson Batman. That is living in its own Elseworld. He titled the Reeves Batman universe and Joker as Elseworlds. This is Brave and the Bold. And this is going to have Batman and Damian Wayne, Robin. He said it's his favorite Robin, and they're going to introduce other, not this, John. They're gonna
it's the inset picture. So Brave and the Bold, when people see it, they think Batman and all these other cats, right?
Yeah,
or they think Green Lantern.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're going to be introducing other members of the Batman family, which I gotta say, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, it's weird because no one saw it becoming, because you basically did what the DC mistake is always, skipping Jason Todd and Dick and Tim Drake. Like, basically, forget the other Robins. Let's go through this. And let's also be fair, where the best storyline of Damian is not with Bruce. It's with Dick. So, if this is Brave and the Bold, Batman, the curveball would be that Batman is not Batman.
Yeah, this run is not Batman, right?
Yeah, if it's
this
Dick,
Grant Morrison run is not Batman.
If it's Dick, then I would love it. That would be the mind blow. Like, bravo, James Gunn. Like, you skipped it because it's Dick Grayson as Batman, and it's the dream I've always wanted. Bruce Wayne is lame. My Batman forever will be Dick Grayson. If it's Dick Grayson and then I'm trying to figure out where Batman is, and I was like, that has me intrigued. If it's just
it makes
Bruce,
sense. You remove him as a Robin, and Damian Wayne's is the Robin now. So now Damian Wayne. So that'd be as Robin. That'd be
Well, the fact that he
you can't-
mentioned he's going to be introducing other members of the Bat family, we know Alfred's been 1,000 times over. So I would tend to think, Stu, that your dream may come true, because if he's introducing other Bat family members, meaning other Robins that would already be in existence, it's not out of the realm of feasibility that Bruce Wayne is an older and he's not in the picture for whatever reason.
I don't want Bruce Wayne to be this Batman. So my dream would be Bruce Wayne. It's Batman, Brave and the Bold, great. But without Bruce, it would be a French kiss.
Yeah.
And for the love of Pete, can you cast someone of ethnic origins that properly represents the Ghoul family? They are not white people. They are Arab. They are from the Middle East. So just pick someone who is not British white to be Damian Wayne. Pick someone who is that has a little bit of color to them, because frankly, that's the way this character should be. He's not a straight white dude.
Well, he's got to be young. He's got to be what, 13?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just find a kid who, even if it's just a mix of something else and something else, even if it's like Greek and something, just make olive color. Just make sure it's not just like, we got a lot of you, Dick, Tim, Bruce, Alfred, all you, Rob. You got the whole thing locked down. So let's add some diversity to this, because that's what the character should be. I found it funny because he's like, oh, yeah. And at the end, he's like, it will not be Robert Pattinson, because Robert Pattinson will be back in his Elseworlds. So you're like, oh, I see what you did there. I would love for them to do that, so then they can bring in Robert Pattinson later. That would be the ideal. But because the problem with this is that if you do another Batman, then we're going to have the infighting of who's your Batman. We have two active Batmans, different actors. Well, Robert Pattinson's my Batman.
Batman dominates the comic sales charts for DC. So if they have multiple Batmans with
but that's
movies,
comic.
That's cash it in.
No,
cash it in, guys.
But
but I see what Stu's saying. The way around that, though, is Dick Grayson Batman.
Yeah, John, this is different. This is not two Spider-Man movies. One with Andrew Garfield and one with Tom Holland happening at the same time. That's cuckoo bananas.
This would be taking from the source material. So you have multiple Batman books in kind of their own thing. Like Batman in the Batman book kind of does his own thing. But Batman also appears in Justice League.
But no. But I don't think you're getting my point. My point is, in the comic books, they're pretty much the same Batman. But in the movie form, they're going to be two separate actors acting and doing stuff in different Batman scenarios. It's one thing if you had Robert Pattinson doing all that stuff, and you're like, great, that's Batman. We don't have two James Bonds at the same time, so then me and Rob can be like, actually, I don't like that Bond. I like this Bond better. You just you don't invite the debate.
We had Octopussy and Never Again.
I know, but then you don't invite it if you don't have to, right? But since then, they don't do two corresponding Bonds at the same time.
Because they realize how stupid it was. Well, and that wasn't really it. Never Again is not canon, but I digress. So I agree. Listen, I think you're right. I think it's ripe for a Dick Grayson Batman, because the Batman Part 2 has a release date of October something or other in 2025. So just a few short months after
October
Superman.
3rd, they say. October 3rd.
And then you got to, it's a trilogy. So you got to figure that Batman Brave and the Bold will come out before or in and around the Batman Part 3. Yep. So
if you have Dick, then you saved yourself of casting Bruce Wayne for another like 4 or 5 years. You can just not worry about Bruce for a while and be like, great, we got someone else. Let's not worry about it. Let's continue on their journey.
But the devil's advocate is the audience smart enough to understand? It's all going to be based on
the audience is going to even understand Elseworld. We'll get to the part of the end of this thing about it being non-interconnected, and I feel like that's going to be a problem. But we'll anyways, let's keep on going.
So then next we got some information on another TV series that's coming out. Lanterns, which will star Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and John Stewart. Now, this actually usurps the Greg Berlanti Green Lantern series that's been in development for years and years and years. We just talked about this on the news a few weeks ago. They ditched the old version. They were going with a new one. Well, that's gone completely. So this is more like a True Detective style story, interdimensional or extraterrestrial, whatever, off Earth. So that kind of sounds pretty interesting. I like the idea of that as a True Detective style Green Lantern series. I'm not sure what you guys think. Yay, thumbs up, nay, don't care.
Yeah, no, the crime shows are like the #1 shows on streaming and TV right now. So True Detective, I think you guys have argued. I have never watched the first season. Have argued is one of the best pieces of television in modern TV, I guess, in the streaming era or whatever. So yeah, if they're gonna take that formula and apply it to Lanterns, who is basically a cosmic police force, 100%. And I really do like Green Lantern when it's, I don't know if the comparison to True Detective means it's going to take place on Earth or not. But I do quite like Green Lanterns on Earth. But if they're going to go to space and do stuff, sure.
No, they'll be going to space. They'll be investigating the murder of Abin Sur, and that's how they're just.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to be like CSI type montages up in outer space.
But remember,
if I'll be able to relate. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Didn't they
argue if they don't spend the money, then this is all like, that's the problem with the show. It's so gosh darn expensive to do space, to do constructs.
I'm pretty sure somewhere they said Green Lantern would be the most expensive thing they could make. And then now they're going to make it into a TV show. I'm like, why did you just make it a movie then?
Just make it a cartoon. Don't even do, like, even the cartoon is like, they couldn't even do the cartoon where Jon Stewart just make blocks and like, here's giant hands to stop. I'm like, oh my goodness. Gosh, even in animation, you make the Green Lantern powers look lame. So yeah, I'm gonna make a cube, a block, a punching glove. Great, thanks, guys.
So then they move on to another. I think this is a movie, though they didn't really clarify.
This is correct. It is a movie.
Is it Supergirl? Right? Is this where
Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, based on the book by Tom King.
Yeah. Who I read today found out he is part of this overall writer's room that James Gunn kind of assembled. So, didn't get to work on New Gods, but here we go. So this comic just came out, I think it was like 2021 or 2022. Yep. It's fairly recent, right?
6 or 8 issues?
Yeah, I think it's like 8 issues or something like that. Yeah. But apparently it was quite decent enough that James Gunn loved it. Absolutely. And her adaptation.
Do you know what the story is, Rob?
Yeah, well, no, not only from what he had said, that essentially, she watched the planet explode. No, she was stuck essentially on a rock, a piece of Krypton, and watched her, the people.
Oh, no, the story of Woman of Tomorrow. So, yeah, that's the Supergirl story. But I think Woman of Tomorrow follows the storyline of her and a woman who's getting vengeance upon an alien race that killed her family. So she's basically hopping from planet to planet, righting wrongs, and basically trying to find the bad guys that murdered this girl's family. And that's what it is, which it seems very expensive again. And hopefully they don't end up in Cleveland and spend the entire time there hanging out. So
they'll be in the Bronx, but it'll really be Vancouver because they work for Jackie Chan so well.
God, yeah, it's.
What happened to that girl they cast as Supergirl at one point?
Oh, she's out. So they're going to be a brand new.
We don't know.
Yeah, they know for sure she's out.
Yeah, I had a nice video of them telling her, and
they're gone.
We'll talk about that after.
So there's some updates to the Ezra Miller movie, but yeah, they're casting a brand new Supergirl for this. Back to the blonde hair, like girl next door feel. So yeah, that's what they're gonna do for this one. So she's not involved. They just said thanks, we're done.
Okay, so now we're moving on to another TV series called Paradise Lost, and this is supposed to be like a Game of Thrones style television series that takes place on Themyscira, about the Amazons or Amazonians, I guess, and they're battled. I don't know who they're battling, but people are battling and trying to get to the island. But this predates the birth of Wonder Woman.
I'll redo that image with an X through Wonder Woman.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure.
Everybody else but her.
Yeah, I'm not all those faceless people. Yeah. It looked like 300. So I'm not really sure what to think about this. The only thing I thought was interesting, though, is that James Gunn did say, though, that all of these stories will be interconnected. There will be something that connects them all in like moving this global story forward. So who the hell knows? I don't know. We'll see.
The only watchable part of Wonder Woman 84 was that intro with Themyscira. So
no, I think No Man's Land was very watchable. The battlefield.
What? Sorry, Wonder Woman 84?
Oh, 84. Sorry. No, you're right. That was it then.
That was the only watchable part of that movie, correct?
Yeah. I would question anything was watchable in that film. I think at the end of the day, this is a Game of Thrones-esque show, but you know, there's 2 other shows coming out. The Dama Milaje show of Black Panther. There's a Dune Sisterhood TV show, and then now there's this one as well, which I'm interested. But if it's just, we know the solution already, that they make it Themyscira, is it just like them, all these people fighting to like get to this island because there's magic there? I'm like, I don't care about people like generals like, well, there's an island of Themyscira, we must get there first. Like, does it? I don't. This sounds.
Are you picturing like for these live action TV series? Are you picturing a la CW or are you picturing a la HBO Peacemaker?
HBO.
I don't know if they have the budget of Game of Thrones, but they're going to aim as close as they can to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
so a more serious tone is what I'm kind of asking.
Yes.
It's not going to be a light network television type.
Yeah.
It is going to be a streaming thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess the last thing that they announced, at least for this chapter 1 of Gods and Monsters, was something, John, that we mentioned last night. And I was like, when they announced it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Swamp Thing.
You thought it was happening out of the gate. You're like, oh, here's the announcement. It's Swamp Thing Phase 1. Here we go. and we'd be like, yeah, that's not.
And I'm right.
But he's at the end somewhere. I don't know. They don't have dates on that part. But
still,
Superman.
So we're getting a
the
Swamp
centerpiece.
Thing movie.
A horror movie, right? Horror slant, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
No one cared about it when it was a TV show. I liked the TV show a lot. But Swamp Thing is...
And it was a horror. It was a pure horror TV show as well, right?
Ian Ziering was in it, baby. It was a great little add-on, little sprinkle to that. I was like, oh, look! Ian Ziering! I think that this is one for them, one for us. This is the here, you really comic book nerds, you finally get your Swamp Thing back.
But who asked for it?
The people, apparently there are people that asked for it. I
sell a lot of comic books too, and
I know
among the lower percentile.
Like people that care about the green,
but
it's low. It's low, but like
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what? Like
the old theme song.
Tom King and Jason Fabok did that Swamp Thing special a few years ago. That was a pretty cool story that they did, right?
Yeah.
So,
honestly, every character has had a moment.
He should be a side character, like Midnight at Werewolf. Like we saw Werewolf by Midnight. We saw that like Man Thing. Like it's fun when he's the guy next to the human doing it. I don't need him to be the number one on the call sheet because no one cares about Swamp Thing. Right. So like if this was like again Justice League Dark, like if he's part of the team, great, but I don't need him all the time.
But this is Swamp Thing's 4th live action adaptation. Now do we get Heather
It doesn't work, guys. This is potentially a problem.
So before we get into the other announcements that were made following this, listen, we always know that there's always projects they announce and things don't come to fruition. So out of this list, out of this list that's been announced, what do you think is likely to not then actually make it? Yeah.
Lanterns.
You think Lanterns? They're going to see the money? They're going to see the
They're going to be like, oh my God, the previs. And they're like, no, we're not doing this. Like, if it looks bad, we're not doing it. And I think that, like, it's ambitious to put that out. But even with all the Greg Berlanti, Jeff Johns storylines, they could copy as much as they want. But my God, it's expensive. Like, to do space and to do constructs Like it's not cheap. And they fight like the Green Lantern Corps is all aliens of all different shapes and sizes. Like at least with the Nova Corps, you can just hide them with helmets. Like, oh, there's an alien, and there's a helmet on them, but there they are. Like their like faces are there. It's not cheap to do any of those things. So I feel like Lanterns will be the first one to be like, yeah, we're just gonna push it farther out, just like the Greg Berlanti show. Because if they do it poorly, this is another time you screw the Green Lantern Corps, and just like this is,
I think that will go. I think it'll be Paradise Lost. I think they're still going to be in the HBO is going to be in the Game of Thrones business, and I don't think they're going to want to undercut themselves.
Isn't medieval kind of like cheaper to do because everything can be done practical?
Yeah, you're right, John. At the end of the day, you can sell the swords from one show back to the other one and sell the armor.
The armor will look like leftovers from all these other shows.
Yeah, it's kind of how like when you watched Firefly, all the costumes of the soldiers were basically from Starship Troopers. Yeah. Did that for a while because they had so much of the Starship Trooper armor that ended up being on all the other TV shows. They're like, oh, we need space armor. Well, we have this space armor from a movie that no one saw. I'll take it. Let me rent this bad boy for my TV show. I look at the slate and I see that it's interesting that when you brought that point that they want to space it out, I think spacing out is a great idea because not because of the quality, but in terms of how expensive this crap is to get done. And they're like, yeah, we can't give you carte blanche like Kevin Feige in case you screw this up. So let's give you some space. Because Kevin Feige also did lots of space until they said, you know what, we trust you. Here's a blank check. So I feel like this is what it is, where they're spacing out for a reason because they don't fully trust James Gunn. He is still not an executive. He is still like a director and creative force, and you can tell by the choices he made in these movies and these different things. So it's not the Kevin Feige hat. He's taking off the hat. He's like, I'm James Gunn. And I'm like, this is a problem. This is a big problem.
So a couple things came out afterwards. Yeah. One is that Peter Safran has said, in regards to the budget issues, that they've laid it all out, and that once it gets into the pre-production, they'll lay the budget, but they've already been told a commitment that the money will be there where it's needed for the project. So maybe they're blowing smoke up our asses, but I tend to think that sounds right. Also, James Gunn said, we're not rolling into production with 2/3 of a script done. Mm-hmm. He goes, we're not wasting hundreds of millions of dollars on reshoots. He goes, I didn't do reshoots on any of my Guardians, except we did one pickup day on Guardians 3 just to finish a couple of things off to tie into stuff that's coming up. He goes, but we're not. He goes, we're waiting until it's completed. And he even said some of these might be moved a little bit just to ensure that we've got the scripts completed before we roll. I'm not going in there finishing a script. And that was a bit of a dig at Marvel, because Marvel's been known to be finishing script while they're shooting their latest movies and having tons of cash on reshoots. Yeah. And so I think that's pretty good. And he also essentially, he kind of backhanded and slapped around the previous DC regime of mishandling their IP. And he was like, I can't remember the exact quote, but he was kind of like, they were just giving it away piecemeal. for $5 here or $10. Like they didn't care. They had no vision. And that when it came to the Henry Cavill thing, he goes, he was never fired because he was never hired. And he got dicked around. That was a quote. He got dicked around by a lot of people beforehand. And that's obviously a dig at The Rock, I think, and his former manager, Danny Garcia, and everything else. So, I don't know.
Henry Cavill. The dude he's no longer in the Highlander movie. He got dropped from that. He's no longer. Yeah.
He's no longer Highlander?
Yeah.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. The reports are he's no longer attached to Highlander.
Oh, so. Warhammer 4K. Here we go.
All in 4K, baby.
So what I also thought was interesting is that they started off. He was mentioning. Gunn was mentioning the projects that they have coming up this year, which are Shazam, which only comes out in like 8 weeks, less than that.
Yeah,
right? 7 weeks from now. And then he mentioned The Flash, and I gotta say, okay, I put my Flash shirt on here because John says I'm on the hype train, but like James Gunn didn't have to say anything about The Flash. He could say, hey, it looks great. Look, we're very excited for it. He went over and above saying that this may be one of the best comic book movies ever made. Like, that's huge. Like, to put yourself out there to say that, we've heard this buzz about the movie, and there's a lot, and he's very interested in getting back into the directing relationship with Andy Muschietti. So I don't know. If your expectations now or your hype level for the Flash has increased. He said Blue Beetle, then he went back down. He goes, yeah, great movie. It fits into the DC, its own thing, but it will fit into our DC. And then Aquaman finishing off the end of the year. That then rolls into their new slate of things. Does it change anything for you guys? Like, are you more? Do you think Zach Levi will stick around as Shazam? I mean, they've kind of said, hey, we're going to be. Yeah,
he's gone. I think he's gone. Henry Cavill's gone. Gal Gadot is gone. At the end of the day, I think the rumors were basically saying that all the after credit stuff for the Flash had basically been stripped. The Supergirl stuff is basically stripped. The Batman stuff at the end has been so basically Michael Keaton was supposed to carry forward. That's gone. So it's basically the Flash, Ezra Miller, who's going to probably do a big tour of like apologies soon. I don't know how they're going to do
the apology tour.
The apology tour is going to be the only through source. Him and Jason Momoa are going to carry forward, and I guess take some of Peacemaker and some of those folks on to the next universe, and then they're going to continue on to whatever the Gunn universe is.
So do you think they've retooled then a little bit of Flash to allow for this new universe being born, or no?
I think they
why not?
Once you move the end credit stuff that is a continuance, that's it. That you can just say he's the only one that moves. He's the only one that can move across the multiverse, and we're good.
Okay. Did you guys hear about this? Peter Safran was asked about the Batgirl movie, and he said, "Yeah, I saw it." And he goes, "Listen, a lot of great talent in front of and behind the camera, talented people. They worked really hard. It was not releasable." Like, essentially saying it was not good. It was not made for theaters, so they wouldn't have made any. It would have tanked. It would have actually hurt the DC brand. And he goes, you know what? David Zaslav took a lot of shit. I think we gave him some of it as well. And he goes, it was a brave move to be able to shelve that, because it would have done more harm than good. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's entirely possible. It's going to sit on the shelf next to that Fantastic Four, and what like Captain America.
Roger Corman Fantastic.
Yeah. Put it on your shelf next to that if it ever gets a bootleg release. But yeah, it sounded like a problem. Like, it sounded messier than the Flash. And they're still going forward with the Flash. I'm still very concerned about the Flash, Rob.
There was never a concern about the Flash direction or the story. There was a concern about the actor, who basically is in 90% of the film. That was the issue, John.
I'm concerned with all these cameos and stuff they're trying to sneak in. So the removal of those actually is good news to me. The fact that I think he stated he filmed scenes with multiple guys. He doesn't know which Superman, which Batman is, whatever. That sounds mad confusing. So if you strip all that out, good for you guys. But yeah, I can totally see that Batgirl, like you said, if they're selling stuff off for the dollar, and just trying to get stuff on the board and no direction, 100%. I could totally see that being a mess, which sucks for all those people involved, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. But if it was that bad, then I can't imagine that they,
100%
they did their nice thing by showing the crew the movie, but that's it. They're like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, Rob wishes they did that for Halloween 3, whatever that Halloween Ends is. Like, someone should have watched that and went, yeah, this is trash. Someone should have done that for Morbius. There's a list, Wonder Woman 84. Someone should have done that. And then Gal Gadot could probably still reprise her role as Wonder Woman at this moment after seeing that movie. I don't care. I'm fine with her gone. I know some people might be upset. Go back to Fast and the Furious. You were cooler in that role because Wonder Woman 84 just scorched anything before it. I don't care.
Yeah, she's got to go back. She's got to come back. She's got to come back from the dead. So
yeah, they never showed a body, so she's back. She's probably back. I bet you.
Cyborg
That's going to be the surprise cameo. They couldn't get The Rock to come on, so they probably called up her in the background secret. And we're going to see Vin Diesel post some awkward picture of them sitting next to each other.
Gal Gadot still looks like she's in her 30s. Vin Diesel looks like he's 72.
Here's the thing. Like we talked about this interconnected notion, and James Gunn has basically said in piecemeal, hey, there's going to be a little snippet that they're going to be, tied together.
Yeah.
Good and bad, because the thing about Marvel when it was at its peak was the fact that it had the Pokemon, got to catch it all. You want to watch everything together, and now it's got probably a little too big. Now they're kind of bring it back together. They learned their lesson of bloat, but right now I don't care about half these properties, so I'm not gonna I'll watch what I want to watch, but that's not what I want to hear if I'm Warner Brothers shareholders. I want to basically copy Marvel. You have a chance to do that again by making everything connected and building your Justice League team the proper way, and you're not even bothering to do it. So if I was a DC shareholder, I'd be like a Warner Brothers shareholder. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like this?
Oh yeah, but we don't know. Listen, I think the expectation that Gunn and Safran had on them is insurmountable, and they've only revealed like the first half of their chapter 1. I mean, I was going to call it phase 1, but the chapter 1. We don't know what the rest of that plan is. They've only been on the board for the last 5 months, right? Kind of putting this and drafting this whole thing out, and so we don't know what the rest. We don't know what the second half of this chapter 1 looks like. We don't know if by the end of that 10 years, you get a massive Justice League movie. Maybe you have a Justice League Dark and Justice League movie. One comes out in May, one comes out in December. Who the hell knows? Like interconnected, like in Avengers and stuff like that. So we don't know. But I think as a starting off point, I think that this separates itself from what has come before from Warner Brothers and DC. I think it's unique. And it also separates itself from Marvel enough to say, hey, we're not a carbon copy of what they're doing. We're coming out with a heavy hitter, some obscure stuff that you guys are gonna love these characters, and it's gonna make sense down the road. I'm surprised. Like I honestly thought we were gonna get a new Superman, a new Batman, I thought they were gonna go with the
Trinity.
And I said Swamp Thing. I figured they would do some obscure.
You made it happen. You willed it.
I figured they'd do some obscure thing, but I didn't think it was going to be like this, right?
Yeah, I like at the end of the day, I don't want them to fail. I'm curious to see what happens. I like James Gunn, but he's very James Gunn. So I'm interested to see how he takes his hand off the wheel for some parts of this and how he directs it the other side. Because as a director, there are some good and bad things about a James Gunn film, which I personally mostly enjoy most of his films. But I could see there are people that are not a fan. And if it's too far that direction and taste, that's the one thing about Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is not a director. He's an executive who's overseeing and is letting a lot of people try a lot of things, good and bad. He's made some good selections of directors.
2 of them were on your worst list just last week.
He made swings, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But that's what his job is, right? To produce content for the Disney Corporation. So you could say, hey, they weren't great, but at the end of the day, was it farming enough content for Disney Plus when they needed it to get their subscriber numbers? Yes. Do they need subscriber numbers still? Probably no. So he can take his hand off the wheel, but he did what he was told. Make more stuff for Disney Plus. He did it, which is why I guess Armor Wars is now being a movie instead of a TV show. So things are happening differently.
So we know that
they filled it up high enough.
James Gunn has said that they are really working with Ben Affleck on some stuff. Does Ben Affleck tackle one of these projects in this first?
I would love him to do Batman Brave and the Bold, and for him to not have Bruce Wayne in it. That's me.
Well, you're kicking off. What?
No, I think that's good. No Bruce Wayne. It's just Batman.
Right, but they're kicking off the theatrical experience with Superman Legacy. We know Gunn's written it or writing it. He's almost done. I would assume soon. And for 2025, this thing's got to start filming pretty much by the end of this. Start production by the end of this year, early next.
Yep.
Who's directing it? I would not like, as much as I like James Gunn stuff, I don't think I want him filming
He
being
can't.
the
He has,
director.
even with him and Safran, there's so much stuff on the slate. He can't do both.
So would you give Ben Affleck a crack at Superman Legacy?
No. I think Ben Affleck has shown that he wanted to do a Batman film, and this is the opportunity for him to do the Batman film he wanted to do.
Yeah, well, yeah, potentially. But he, yes. I mean, yeah, we don't know what his script was, right? I mean, we don't have Deathstroke and everything else. So will it be his
Deathstroke.
Batman?
You can still
What?
do it. You can still have Deathstroke fighting the League of Assassins. You could do all that stuff. You could have Ben Affleck in the Batman suit, but not credited because he's not in the film. Like, there's Batman and he disappears or dies. Oh, that's it. Like, you could have all of it.
It's taken out by Jared Leto's Joker.
Before Jared Leto kisses him in the mouth, and you'd be like, "Oh gosh, here we go."
Yeah, so there you go. That's
okay. So my question to you:
Monsters.
So, which one of these properties, John, are you most excited about? Of all these things, which one do you care about?
Yeah, do I choose only from the main phase, or can I choose an Elseworlds?
No, choose only what's the DC Universe Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters.
Yeah, Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters. It has to be hands down Superman. That's their centerpiece. That's the one that's got the most riding on it. That's one of the biggest characters because the Batman, you're slicing and giving him a supporting cast. And it's a shame that they have not. I don't know if it's a shame that they have to use the Brave and Bold name because they've already burned the Gotham Knights name on the TV show and don't want to be affiliated with that whatsoever.
I'm surprised that's still going forward, man.
Yeah. But 100%, it has to be the Superman. That's the most appealing thing on this list right now for me.
Rob?
Well, I can't disagree with John, and I'll say, like, as much as the Batman Brave and the Bold has me kind of excited, and especially now that you're telling me, like, or putting it out in the ether that it'd be a Dick Grayson Batman. If Superman Legacy is a complete pant load, everything we see here is gone, and it's irrelevant. So I feel like Superman Legacy, I have to be the most excited about it because it has to succeed for everything else to go forward. That's just the reality. Like they're
Iron Man of the DC.
Yeah. Like Creature Commandos, I don't even know when that's coming out, but whatever. They're gonna animate it. It's like, oh, it's interesting. Okay. Waller be like, oh, it's like Peacemaker. People will kind of give it a pass. When you drop Superman into a theater, if it fails to fly, pun completely intended, everything else that we see here, Lanterns Authority, Booster Gold, it's all gone. So
I'm just upset that there's no Peacemaker season 2. Like, if you're gonna part of me is like, okay, if you're gonna,
probably gonna be that Waller's technically gonna be a Peacemaker season 2.
It's a different show, man. Like again, I'm being a hypocrite because I'm like,
you don't think they're gonna throw in 2 or 3 episodes with Peacemaker and his team? I think they're gonna 100% do that. I think
James Gunn said he's too busy to do Peacemaker 2 right now. So
yeah, so we're gonna get a Book of Boba Fett type Waller where there's 3 episodes of Peacemaker and his crew running around.
I sure as hell hope not, because you just damned the entire series. I can't get to Book of Boba Fett.
No, but I love Book of Boba Fett. But I don't know. I don't know if I've ever wanted to. You know how cool Waller was in the animated series too? Never once did I think, hey, I want an isolated Waller solo series. Never, ever. Never in life.
Yeah.
So
how do you think they cast Timothy Olyphant as in Lanterns, because you gotta have Raylan Givens in there?
I would watch that show. Said it. Yeah, basically just making Raylan Givens with a lantern ring. I would 100% watch that show. Easy button. I would argue that I actually don't care about anything else on this list except for Superman Legacy, unless what Stu says to be true and it's Dick Grayson Batman. And that's why he's basing it off that Grant Morrison run. I
has to be like again,
Creature Commandos I could care less about. Like, why is that on there, right?
Yeah, because again, like the best relationship is the two of them trying to figure out what happened, and if it's just the juxtaposition of Damian works so well because you have the other Bat Robins before, and if you don't have those other Robins, then he's just a spoiled kid, and you're like, this is stupid. Like, he's an assassin, I get it, but you need the difference of the character to. That's why he stood out so much, is because he's not like the other Robins. But if you just negate the other Robins and you just go straight to Damian, then you're like, huh, okay. But if it's Dick, it's like, well, this is how you do it as Robin, because I was Robin. And he's like, I don't care. You're not Robin anymore, and you're not my dad. So like there's this weird dichotomy of stuff that works when that relationship is in place. But if it's just Bruce Wayne doing it, you're like, all right.
Yeah, but then I guess the flip side of that is that how are they going to explain it's Bruce Wayne's son and he's not, like, there's no father-son, conflict there. Don't you think they need to have Bruce Wayne finding out he's got a kid and having to deal with that? Or is it already
It's already there, and just like one day he's gone, and then it's like Batman's gone. There's a picture of Ben Affleck, he tears and be like, now we got to figure it out.
Sad. It's gonna be a sad Ben Affleck
on the beach, thing staring in the water. Batman is gone with the giant back tattoo going on, and that's what it is.
Now, do you think it's weird that they're calling it? Is it supposed to be like Superman's supposed to be like year 1 or year 2, right? That they're calling it Superman Legacy.
I don't know.
Like, do you think you're gonna have a Jonathan Kent situation arise?
No, wait. The Jonathan Kent's already on the TV show, which is getting 2 more seasons and finishing that. You might as well keep the distance.
Yeah, and you're right, because that'll be gone right before the movie hits.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's our good initial thoughts. I think we've already said which one's going to be the bomb, so I'm not going to. Well, John, which one's going to be the worst?
If I had to gamble, based on my history of selling comic books and stuff, I would say Booster Gold. I would say Booster Gold has arguably not had what you would call it a key storyline other than New 52, which was just based off of the fact that the whole twist, and he's kind of behind the scenes and changed him from that loser character into actual savior of the universe. He's a character that's never been able to carry his own book, so to give him his own movie is kind of dicey. So I would question that if I had to bet.
Rob?
Well, I think the easy one would be the only animated property, which is Creature Commandos. But I'm going to go back to Paradise Lost. I think, people didn't flock to Lord of the Rings like they did with Game of Thrones. I think,
and they will be able to go to where House of Dragon goes.
Yeah, I think you can't undercut yourself. You're, to the same shows on the same network.
Not enough.
The answer is clear. It's Swamp Thing. Da 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 da. It's gonna be a bomb thing. It's gonna be awful. It's gonna be everything.
Not if they bring that song back.
Terrible. Yeah, Swamp Thing. Yeah, let's just cross that off as bad. Unless they make that
campaign that show back, Stu.
Unless they make that movie for like $80 million as like a true horror film, like this thing's gonna just be like, if they can say, "Oh, we found a way to make it cheap," then that's the difference.
You know what? Directed by James Wan. There you go. He'll go back to his horror roots and he'll direct Swamp Thing as a horror movie
for like 80 mil, and then all of a sudden it'll be different. All right. Okay, John, tell us, where can they find you in the internet, in the desert of the real?
Yeah. So thanks for everybody for always following and sharing our stuff. You can follow us online, Heroes World Online, Instagram, Facebook, the website, the YouTube, if you're listening to this on the audio. If you want to check us out in person, we've got a lot of the stuff that James Gunn showed on that slideshow. So you can pick it up at the shop, or you can gamble on something else. We've got a lot of Batman merchandise as well, too. So hit us up, 8601 Warden Avenue in Markham, Ontario. Lots and lots of stuff. So as always, thanks everybody for sharing and liking, subscribing, all that kind of fun stuff.
What's coming up with the Sidekick Show, Rob?
Hey, thanks, Stu. So as I mentioned before, the Sidekick Show with John and I is every Monday night live, 8:15 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And so if you stumbled on this video and you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, subscribe to the channel, hit your notification bell, and join us Monday night. We have kicked off Mission Mondays. The first Monday of every month, we are watching a Mission Impossible movie, On the Road to Dead Reckoning Part 1. So this coming Monday, the 6th of February, we are doing Mission Impossible 2, John Woo, Electric Boogaloo, slow motion doves, and impossible motorcycle tricks. It's a 60-minute movie, but John Woo made it 2.5 hours. So you can join us.
Wolverine? The Wolverine versus
could have been Wolverine.
Yeah,
Could have been
ever
Wolverine.
after Do Gray Scott. So you can join us live Monday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Thank you for joining us all. Be safe out there, and hopefully Booster Gold will save you. Bye.